So this morning, well, first off, welcome to my channel in YouTube land. This is Grant Travels, hitting you up from Chandler Fashion Center in Chandler, Arizona. It's, I believe, February 17th, I think, 2026. I discovered dual recording the other day, and I think I'm going to start doing that from now on so you get both sides of the view and less of my picture. I guess. This morning, I wanted to make a video to recount what has happened to me recently. Just before El Paso, Texas, I decided to take the back road, the border road, a section of road that's new to me, that I've never taken yet. I've never had a reason to, and it adds 10 more miles to the trip, but I can make it up later in a shortcut. But anyway, I decided I would take it since I had the time to do so. Since this truck was supposed to get there on Monday, now it's back to Wednesday because of the whole flight out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida to come get this. Well, I guess I should start there. So I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida after I dropped that last truck off. So let's step it all the way back. Let's go to, I went San Antonio, Texas to Milledgeville, Georgia with that one truck that I made a video about. Then I went from there across the street and picked up another box truck, the full box truck that had the box on it, and brought that down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And I just didn't make a video of it because there was nothing but Florida traffic for content. Nothing special happened. Nothing different out of the park happened to make content about. But anyway, I went to Fort Lauderdale Airport and I booked a flight on Spirit Airlines, and I waited all night long in the airport. And then that morning they canceled the flight. Then I decided to take, that was the one going back to San Antonio, and then I decided to try and fly to Austin and take the bus from Austin, Texas to San Antonio, which is what I eventually did, because they at least have 3 flights a day going to Austin instead of just the one flight to San Antonio, because at first they wanted me to just wait a whole another 24 hours for the 7 o'clock in the morning flight that they have to San Antonio that canceled the first time, and I'm not going to wait 24 hours just to watch it cancel the next time, since there's only 1 flight a day there. And that's what I told her, and so the gate attendant, and so I took an Austin flight that evening, and after delaying like 18 times, we finally went. Well, in the meantime, and this video is going to get a little bit, I don't know if you can call it, what would you call it? Sleazy, I guess would be the word. I don't know. It was accidental, so it's not like my fault or nothing, but I was walking around in the airport with my Eddie Bauer pants that are down there. They're winter fleece pants. Well, I guess I can show it. But went to go, handle my business, use the urinal, yada yada yada. As I'm going to the bathroom, the zipper for my fly broke off. Went flying off and went into the family had a stroller going by with like a high chair type of stroller where the kid can still eat on the stroller as they're like moving or whatever, and of course the zipper flew off from my fly and went right into his food. It's the most embarrassing thing ever. That's the reason why I'm here now, because this Chandler Fashion Center has an Eddie Bauer in it, and I'm gonna go tell them what happened. But anyway, so I now know what it feels like to walk around in the airport with your fly open, pretty much. I mean, I had a t-shirt on, and then I put my parka on over top of that and just kind of half-ass sweat in the parka to try to cover that area, because I figures the first time I put all my stuff in storage, you didn't have an extra set of clothes, figuring I would just hand wash these ones as I went, or buy more if I had to, if something malfunctioned, and sure enough, something malfunctioned. But anyway, so I had what they call the wardrobe malfunction, which is funny now, but it wasn't funny then. And when you get out here on this life as a truck driver, you kind of have this special feeling when you go into the bathroom or the shower to pay for a shower, or use the shower in points or whatever, a truck stop, or you're kind of butt naked in the truck stop, and it feels weird at first until you get used to it. People couldn't see that I had the fly open, because I have a long enough t-shirt and a long enough parka that went down. A good thing I bought a parka that's 2 sizes longer than me. I basically got a big and tall parka for that reason, so it would be like a sleeping bag that you can wear. Good thing I did that, and good thing I thought of that, because then I walked around, like that, so they couldn't see directly into my business, as they say, but I could still feel it. that the fly was open. So you walk around and you have cold air going in there, and it, let's just say, it made me feel like I was naked in the airport. Well, lots of people walking by. I was very aware that it was happening. Anyway, I bring it up just because it's funny more than anything at the moment. But so that happened, and I dealt with that until I got to an Old Navy in Austin, Texas, and bought these jeans that I'm wearing now from Old Navy. And the reason I did that is because I went to the Eddie Bauer there, or no, not Austin, and San Antonio. So I dealt with that all the way from the plane finally taking off and landing, to the lift, to the bus, to another lift to get this truck. And then once I had this truck, I went to the San Antonio Eddie Bauer, which is closed up. Eddie Bauer apparently has gone bankrupt, and they are closing a lot of their stores. They might keep like the Washington and Oregon state stores open or something. Maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna go in there and see if this one's closed up. Google says that on the hours that it's open, but Google said that San Antonio's was open and it wasn't. So I'll find out if it's still going or not. I looked in the reviews last night, and the closest review was 2 months ago, like the same that had reviews for that last store that was 2 months ago. So I don't know if they're still open or not. But anyway, that, I think, no. Then I took this truck from San Antonio after Eddie Bauer. I picked up a hitchhiker from Serona, Texas, which I don't like, putting their life out there. Some of those guys are not all that with it in the head, and putting a camera in their face probably would make the scenario worse when I'm just trying to help them down the road. So I didn't ask about interviewing him or nothing, but I could have, and I probably should have, because we ended up swapping stories for like 4 hours in Fort Stockton's McDonald's. Because it's good to, connect with someone else in this world that hasn't been out there traveling. So we swapped traveling stories, to help each other out. Anyway, I slept that night in just past Fort Stockton, Texas. Then I drove from Fort Stockton to El Paso. Then I took the back road in El Paso that I was talking about. That is the borderline, one of the worst sections for the border road before they closed it up, before they built the wall. And I know this because I was driving along, and the Border Patrol guy that was sitting there waved me down to stop. And then he told me all about how it's the worst section of the road, and in the next 55 miles between directly west of El Paso to City of the Sun, New Mexico, on highway, I think it was US Highway 20. Don't stop. He wanted to make sure I had enough fuel so that this would get all the way through there without that problem. And he told me that the Border Patrol pretty much controls the cell tower, and so 911 is the only thing that would work. And even then, there's sketchy spots where 911 will not work. He said if your unit breaks down, immediately call 911. And if you can't get a signal, immediately start walking to somewhere you can get a signal. It's that bad, even with the wall up, and they have a brand new wall there. Maybe if I saved I don't remember if I saved a picture of it or not. I took a picture of it. But I'll put some pictures in the thumbnail since I didn't make a recording of it. But so that's the Border Patrol guy telling me that. And he said he wanted to make sure my air horn and my other horn worked. And then told me not to stop for 55 miles. Didn't matter if somebody's broke down on the side of the road. Doesn't matter if it's another Border Patrol person, because he's going to radio ahead and tell them that I'm coming and whatever, So, doesn't matter if it's any of that. He even went as far as to tell me that pretty much they are the only kind of law enforcement out there on that section of road because of the border. And it's like nothing's going to happen nowadays, I don't think, but they're still going by what they were going before they put the ball up, which was telling people not to stop. And then wanted to make sure my horns were working, and told me that it don't matter if it's a woman and her kid out there in front of the road. Cartels used to use that to get people to stop, and then they'd come out of the bushes and hijack whatever and do stuff. And so, being that this is a brand new unit and whatnot, it doesn't have a box on it to pack stuff or whatever, but you never know. So he told me, whatever happens, don't stop. Honk and try to avoid it if you can, but keep on going. Doesn't matter who's standing in the road, doesn't matter what. The next 55 miles, you're kind of somewhat exempt from it. If you have to do something to continue to keep going, and then obviously, as soon as you can, call 911. And a lot of the cell service won't work, and so you may have to wait until you get to City of the Sun, New Mexico, to call 911 if something happened. And I'm just like, what kind of road did I take? But I already went 13 miles across El Paso, and I didn't want to add another 13 miles back to get back on the regular interstate. So I'm like, well, here we go, 55 miles, you know, just. But he told me it's, for the most part, it's kind of dead. That kind of bad, dangerous action has died off because they put the brand new wall up. And supposedly nobody's crossed it yet. I'm like, yeah, right. I kind of doubt that in the politics. But anyway. So, I take the 55 miles. Nothing does happen to me. I passed a couple different people. And then he told me about a section of the road will go down to no lines on the road or nothing that's construction or whatever. The cartel went in there, and this is years, 2 or 3 years ago before they had the wall. The cartel went through there and built and like redid the pavement on the road to slow vehicles down, and there was signage that said 35 miles an hour and stuff like that. He said that construction zone is not active. Keep on driving just like it's 55, 65 mile an hour. Like a regular thing would be, you know, keep driving fast enough that somebody can't, you know, run out of the bushes and get you. Because I guess at 20 or 35 mile an hour they could shoot you or do something. I don't know. But anyway, basically told me to keep on going. There's no construction zone, even though it looks like there is. So I did. Sure enough, I found that in the other half of it, and it was probably like 12 miles of it. But I guess that was cartel construction zone on U.S. property, U.S. land. That was because the border wall was probably where that light post is right there. You know, 100, not even whatever that is, 100 feet out or something. I mean, you could clearly see the wall right there as you're going. It was right along the wall, kind of. But anyway, before the wall was there, they would wait till people slowed down at their fake road construction zone. And then they'd run out there and ambush you or something. So I was like, wow, that's just stuff I did not want to know. But anyway, you know, it feels like a third world country some days in some spots. So I get through that stuff yesterday. And I got back on Deming, New Mexico. You go back north into Deming and went that way because I could have kept on going on that road. But after what the Border Patrol said, I'm like, nah, I'm taking the next way that I can back to Deming or something, get back on the freeway. Anyway, got back to Deming, New Mexico. Then I've been driving off and on throughout the night because I slept pretty good finally and got caught up on my sleep from the 3 days with no airport sleep. Anyhow, finally got some good sleep. I drove half the night, give or take, not half the night, but whatever, the few hours there, to just past Tucson this morning. And then I'll put another thumbnail. I knew I have a picture for that, so I'll put a thumbnail on that. But I was asleep in this truck, and then they had, I had a dude with a van come right here, a van and a black trailer, like white cargo van, black trailer, which I could put that in the thumbnail, because I know I have the picture for that. But he parked right there, and just like a classic, you know, retard that only pulls a trailer once a year, if that, he came in there like nothing, but didn't think about his trailer swing leaving there, and thank God he didn't go to just do it anyway. At least he realized that the trailer's gonna hit me. But next thing you know, I got him banging on my door. Yeah, like 10 o'clock. I think I went to sleep at like 6 this morning. Banging on my driver's side door at 10 o'clock. Hey man, can you back up the truck, man? I got myself in a spot. I can't seem to get my goddamn trailer back to go back. I'm like, you parked it there. And now when I looked around, all this area right here was wide open, except for they had like an approach that comes here that he didn't want to go over the approach with the trailer. And really, if he'd have swung into that approach and out that way, if he didn't make a hard, you know, a far out 90, he would take my side of the truck out with the trailer. But what he was trying to do is back up far enough to go out the regular approach instead of taking the curb over, you know, and jumping the curb, which you can do. I did to leave because I had other people pull up in time. But anyway, so he's saying that, and I was irritated that he woke me up out of some good sleep. So I said, you parked yourself there. Figure out how to get out of it. You know, as a figuring a learning lesson. You know, maybe it'll teach the guy who has a trailer to watch what he's doing with his trailer the next time around, and when he gets someplace, so he don't have to do what he's got to do now with 6 or 8 times, blah, 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 you know. I'm figuring, you know, I'll teach the guy at the same time as I'm not getting up. I'm so mad. I'm not mad, but irritated about it. It woke me up out of some good sleep. But anyway, for something stupid that he did. I mean, flat out stupid that he did. I mean, that's their thing, is the whole entire parking lot on this side, which probably goes that far to that building, all open gravel. Could have parked anywhere else, but no, he's got to go park his ass right next to me. But anyway, I don't know why they think. I see that a lot, though. I had my sleeping bag up on these thingies to cut the light out a little and to give me some more privacy against the shopping center thingy that was in front of us. And whatever, so And everybody else saw that when they came in, and when I woke up later on, I had a camper here and a truck over there, all trying to sleep right next to me, even though they got the whole gravel yard. It's like, oh, I see a camper, I gotta go sit next to him for safety or something. I hate that when people do that. People have done that since my van life way back in the day. Dealing with that for like 12 years now. But anyway, raging on. But anyway, so that happened. I told him, go figure it out for yourself. I thought he was going to go back there to go figure it out for himself. He goes back to his van, retrieves the gun, which I didn't know that he had because I had the sleeping bag up. Comes back to my driver's side door, waves the gun at me. Not he doesn't point it at me, but he's doing this, like back and forth to his ear and to his head and everything. And just the way he was doing that, I could tell he didn't have it loaded, or he's so stupid that he's going to blow his own head off. But anyway, this is happening. And I already told him, at first, before all this happened, when I told him, go figure it out for yourself. If you hit me, you hit my truck, I'm going to call the cops then from that point. And you can discuss with them why you pulled in there like you did, and yada yada. And that's when he left and went and got the gun and come back. So he already knew that my plan was to call the cops to begin with. Then he came up there with the gun, and he's doing this. And because he's doing this and not pointing it at me, just kind of showing it to me. First thought in my mind was if I had a gun myself, I have it in storage, because it's usually easier to come out here. And I knew on this truck I'm going to have to hitchhike back, and that's why I didn't bring it with, because I'm trying to go as little as possible. That's also why I'm returning the pants and whatnot, and I'm going to go in there and buy a little tote bag or a duffel bag that folds up into its own pocket, so that when I have the coat on, I can fold the bag up. When I don't have the coat on, the parka on, it can go into that bag that I buy. And that way I can carry it better or easier when I go hitchhiking this truck to drop this truck off. This truck goes to Ehrenberg, Arizona, which is just outside of Quartzsite, and there ain't nothing in that little town. My best option is 11 miles further west to Blythe, California, has a Greyhound stop, or 13 miles to Quartzsite. But Quartzsite does not have a Greyhound stop, according to Ground. May or may not have some other buses or something, I don't know. But if Quartzsite does not have a stop, then I end up having to hitchhike all the way to Phoenix. So my best bet would be to go 11 miles further west by hitchhiking or trying to find that factory. That factory that I'm dropping this off to, Morgan Truck Body, might have somebody that takes drivers on the off time, because they have a lot of trucks that go through there. And I can't imagine that every single one of them has a tow car. I'm about to find out, and the reason I took this truck is because they have 30 of them on the load board now. They started out as like 10 and went to 20, now it's up to 30 worth of trucks on Quality's load board that are going there. So that factory is really ramping up, which is good for business for me. I could take that all the time if I could just find a private driver that will take you from that factory to Blythe, California, or one that I could pay to have to take all the way to Phoenix or something, if they're reasonable. But I'll probably end up taking the Blythe, California Greyhound bus back to Phoenix. But anyhow, that's what's going on. I'm testing whether or not this is going to be a contract deal where I can, go and bring this truck every week. For not this truck, but 30 of these trucks would be continuous work for me, exactly where I want it to be, in this area where it's Texas to Arizona. I prefer Texas to California because it's a little bit longer, and then California you can get out of a little easier. There's multiple different transportations to buses and stuff. But I'll take out in the middle of the desert if I can figure out how to get out of there and I don't have to hitchhike every time. So I took this just to see what's going to happen with it. And anyway, so back to the story of the guy. He's doing this whole deal with his somewhat pointing it at his ear, not pointing it. He didn't ever point it directly at me, but he's like, "See what I got? Now move your goddamn truck," or whatever. And I just decided long time ago I realized either you just got to be the crazier one, or you just got to face facts. Something comes up like that, and somebody's got a gun in their hand. And then I realized, I'm smart enough to realize that he wasn't pointing it at me. So there's a decent chance it ain't even loaded. Looked like a real gun, but... Anyhow, so I just went with my original plan of calling the cops. And I just reached over and grabbed my phone right in front of him and started dialing 911 on speakerphone so I could hear it through the window, because we're talking to each other through this window with it closed. Kind of half-assed, have to yell at each other, because I never, went over here and turned it on or nothing, because I was just laying here the whole time. Anyhow, I go call 911 and you can hear the dispatcher. This is 911, you know, what's your emergency, blah, blah, blah. This guy's out in my truck and won't leave me alone. He's back there, you know. I'm telling him that on 911 and what he looks like and yada, yada. And he flashed a gun at me, blah, blah, blah. So he goes, like, half-ass running off my truck. And I'm telling the dispatcher what all he looks like. He's a black guy, got pantyhose on his head, like an idiot. And then he's got a black jersey on with the red letter 13, so it might be an MS-13 or something. I don't know, but it's weird that he had a red 13 on. And then he had short jean shorts on. And he went into that white van with that black cargo trailer, which I later on gave the cops a picture of. But I'm telling the dispatcher this, and then I'm sitting up, watching him do this 3 or 4 times, and he didn't hit me. He made sure not to hit me, but he was really mad about not, you know, really, if he just wanted to, he could have just taken that curb and got himself out that way. It's only a curb drop off that big, like that curb right there, you know. It's not a huge bad deal if you just take the curb drop off and go. But no, he just wanted to make sure he comes out the regular curb without a curb, you know, the regular driveway into the lot. And it's just like, don't hit my truck, man. I thought for sure my trip is just done, you know, that I'm going to have to file with insurance. It's a retard, can't back a trailer up. Then he's got a gun, then the cops have to be involved, all this other fun stuff. Now I'm just like, man, my trip's done. I'm amazed that he didn't hit me. The way he back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and he's so hardcore about trying to get out that curb. So he's doing that. I'm describing to the dispatcher, this is what's all happening. I'm trying to get to the plate, to see the plate from the van. There's no plate on the trailer that I could tell. And then the plate that I did see, half-assed, was like blue, but I couldn't see the letters. It was just the way he's moving around. I couldn't do it. And then the phone that I'm on currently, like, totally surrendered everything to the 911. I could not get the damn thing to allow me to do other apps, to take pictures, to do anything while the 911 was calling. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. You call 911 and then it takes your phone over. So I have 2 phones, but I had my other phone shut off and in there, so I'm all up in there trying to turn it on and turn on, so I could take pictures, you know, try to get the plate, blah, blah, you know, all this fun stuff. Time I do that, he's down the thing and gone. So I have one thumbnail, which I can put in there, one picture of a thumbnail of that happening, and then I stick around for a good hour or whatever, you know, the cops are there in the next 5-10 minutes or whatever it was. The cop showed up, and he didn't even take my information or nothing. Just wanted to, you know, what I already told the dispatcher, the description of the dude and what the vehicle looked like and whatever. I showed him the picture of what the vehicle looked like, and he showed me that you can do quick share in your phone as long as both phones have Bluetooth service or whatever. So he turned my quick share on my phone and my settings, which is kind of interesting. I never do that till now. And then sent himself my picture to his phone without giving up the phone information. Like, I didn't get his phone number or nothing from that. So he used my phone to send the picture of it's kind of a crappy picture anyway. It's really just the top of the cargo van and the trailer, but I'm guessing he did that so that if and when they find him, they can walk up there and be like, see, we have a picture of you from this guy's truck. Something definitely happened, you know, and try to get him to confess to it. Is I think why they took it, because there wasn't no real detailed driver's license plate or nothing on it. So anyway, he takes the Bluetooth phone picture and to my description of the dude down, even though I already gave it to the dispatcher. And then he leaves and tells me to stay put for at least an hour in case they got to come back or whatever. So probably about an hour later, give or take, the dispatcher calls me back to get my information, you know, my name and date of birth and the Montana driver's license number to add to their report. And she said I can either give it to her over the phone or she could send an officer all the way back out again, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'll just give it to you over the phone. I could recognize her voice. That's the same 911 caller, so I wasn't worried about a scammer or anything. It was the same person that I called 911. So I gave her my information. Then she said the shopping center is kind of built at that street, or not street, at the parking lot right across. You know, it's only like 10-15 feet away from where I was at, the strip mall. That's why I had the sleeping bag up, to cover myself up for privacy, so people didn't see me sleeping here and blah, blah, blah. And anyway, they apparently have cameras in that strip mall right across from me, and they saw the whole entire thing. And she said the city council guy who owns that strip mall, basically he's down the hall from them in their dispatch center. So she went down there and got the camera footage, and sure enough, you see the guy, waving away the gun. So at the very least, he's going to jail for brandishing. I'm pretty sure he's going to jail for other things. The way he acted when I called 911 and he didn't want any popo to show up or nothing. So I'm pretty sure he's wanted for other things. I would guess that the setup that he had, the van and the trailer, are his, because of how he didn't want to hit me with it and damage his stuff or something, and he didn't want to go with a curb and damage his stuff. So I'm guessing it's his or his work employer stuff or something. It kind of looked like a contractor van and trailer, but don't know. I'm guessing it's his, but at the same time, I wonder if it wasn't stolen or what, because he doesn't know how to drive it. That's the thing that gets me, is you're driving that kind of setup and you don't know how to back the trailer up. One thing, if I didn't know for sure, if I wasn't new with what I'm doing with the trailer, I would have purposely parked way over there where it's wide open in that gravel parking lot away from everybody, because then I can just swing in a big old circle 360 to leave there. Or I would have, especially when you think about it, I would have pulled all the way out to where you can get right back out the curb without anybody blocking you, because he had all the room in the world. But no, he's got to go park right next to me and then get really mad when I wouldn't move for him, because he's too stupid to figure out how to back the trailer up. Anyhow, so all this happens. When the dispatcher called, she said they caught him. It must have caught him going towards Tucson, because I just got on the road, but pretty much right after that, I was just waiting for that from Marana, Arizona, which is north of Tucson, but anyway, between Tucson and Eloy. And I didn't see him coming this way. I would have figured they would have still been towing the van and trailer and yada yada, they would have still been on the road coming this way, so he must have went to Tucson. But anyway, I get on the road, and this ain't even that hour later or whatever. I'm getting on the road, and I'm about 2 exits down, just before Eloy, Arizona, and I had a Class A over here, way over here in the Hammer Lane, on a 3-lane highway, on a 3-lane each direction highway. He's way over there in the Hammer Lane, and then he merges back over to the middle lane to give the cars back their Hammer Lane that he shouldn't have been in to begin with. But his setup, and I'll have to show you on the thumbnail, is a Class A, I believe it was a Toyota pickup, and a big side-by-side in the back of the Toyota. And when he went to go merge, his whole setup decided to drive him. And so you just see the Class A going woo, 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 all over the road, and I just about got hit by him. So I put that in a thumbnail too, because I caught up to him later on after he got straightened out and took a picture of it. So, because I was going to make a video of it and explain it, what all happened. This is just getting into the valley in Arizona. But I'm 27 minutes in. It's a pretty long video, nagging on, or whatever you call it. Showing you the view of the Chandler Fashion Center, which I lived here for about a month, way back in the day when I was not truck transporting, and I was out flying a sign and doing whatever, and I lived over there by the art museum thingy at night. I powered my phone at night and then came over here for the air conditioning and whatever, so I'm very familiar with this particular fashion center. But I'm just going in there today to get to return my pants to Eddie Bauer. But even then, they used to be, when I bought these pants, they're $80 or $100, and there was a lifetime warranty. Now, of course, because Eddie Bauer's gone downhill and did bankruptcy and are closing their stores and everything, they are only doing like a 30-day warranty or something like that. I don't know. I have to go see. Or warranty with receipt, I heard too. So, but I don't have a receipt, but they have it on their record, or should have, and I don't know. I'll have to go see what they says. But I'm going to go in there and throw a scene and basically kind of, as politely as I can, and be like, this is what all happened, and tell them what happened that I told you, and I was in the airport and all this happened. It's very fun that, my fly bust open in the airport in front of everybody. Very, very embarrassing moment. So, but I'm returning their pants to them mostly because so they can show the manufacturer that their zipper busted off and whatnot. And so it'd be nice if they gave me a replacement pair of pants. That's the most you can hope for, but I don't want my $80 or my $100 back. It'd be nice to get a refund, but the most they would do is a pants. But even then, if they give me the $20 bag that I'm looking to get in exchange for bringing that back, that would be a fair enough deal. So I'm gonna go in there and see if they'll do that, which you might just do a trade straight over when the manufacturer malfunction, especially since that's kind of the worst manufacturer malfunction you can have. Right there is the fly zipper breaking off. But I have to go in there and see. I don't have much hope for it because they're filing bankruptcy is probably going to be told tough crap. Can't do anything about it or take it to an outlet store, which Phoenix used to have an outlet store way north in like Glendale or something, but of course Google says that's permanently closed and done for. And the version of their outlet store, this is a mall store where they sell brand new stuff, and then their outlet store, so to speak, is the store that collects all the last year's stuff, and they try to sell it there, kind of like their version of a secondhand store that just hasn't been, of stuff that hasn't been sold yet. Open my door because it's starting to get hot in here. As you can see, I'm steaming the place up. But anyway, that's the definition of that, and so they're going to probably tell me to take it to an outlet store, and the only one left that I can think of is like up in Colorado, and I didn't have any. So, the decals are in the window instead of on the door. They're supposed to be on the door themselves, but between the rain and the wind lately, and good thing I went and put them in the window because I didn't even know there was going to be rain this morning when I went through Tucson. And it was really nasty wind and everything, and I know my decals would not have survived. I would have ended up having to stop someplace in that basically down thunderstorm thingy going on at 6:30 in the morning this morning to fix my decals, so good thing I didn't. But anyway, that's the whole story. 31-minute video. Hopefully this will post someday. That's just why I like limiting my videos to 15 minutes, because people don't watch them, except for 5 or 6 of you that I appreciate you watching my video all the way through to this point. But then they also take forever to upload when they're 30 minutes. So I better quit nagging on. I just wanted to explain to you what happened on this truck route, this run this time around. But that is all of those things that happened, both positive and negative. Most of them were negative, I guess, technically, if you think about it. Where my pants blew up and the dude with the gun can't back his trailer up, and now all of a sudden his problem is my problem, supposedly. And then the other guy on the road puts a dumb setup out on the road that I think he realized was a dumb setup now, because the trailer showed him how physics works. You know, if you put a high-centered vehicle, or whatever they call it, you know, the top the gravity high point of your vehicle in back of you like that, it'll take you for one hell of a trip, and it did. And that's the first time I've ever seen a Class A involuntarily go everywhere because of the equipment that it's hauling. And I didn't think that pickup and that side-by-side or whatever that was loaded in the pickup was that much weight on the back, but apparently it is, because it outweighed the Class A. And the Class A, you know, that's a really bad setup to have too, because if you have to slam on your brakes any which way, because he didn't even use his brakes. Well, he did a little bit, but like if you really had to slam on your brakes, that setup is just going to go everywhere, because it kind of went everywhere on him when he just merged over. The trailer decided, oh, you're going to merge that way? We're going to really merge that way. Woo! So I avoided that accident this morning, and, you know, so far, and, you know, knock on wood, I don't have no wood, but I'm pretending this is wood. Yeah, so to speak. Hopefully there's wood built into it somewhere. Then I can get this thing there without no problems, because so far they just about took the corner out with the trailer, and they just about took the front end out with the other setup. And then could have got shot at, and who knows what else at the border. So. But we made it so far. I mean, I've only got one more day on this run. Like and subscribe, leave comments, and I'll catch you in the flip. Peace.